Welcome, Super Souls, to the Moon Magic Tarot channel. This is your moon forecast for the week of Saturday, the 30th of July, through to Saturday, the 6th of August. In a moment, I'm going to run you straight through every single day of the week. And then for those of you who are passionate about learning more about manifesting with the moon, how all this works, I will put a video with a tutorial on for the second part of this video. Now, this week has a real karmic feel to it. It's the kind of week when the energy may give us what we need rather than what we want. However, I do want to say I think there's real opportunity here to make progress, to move through and beyond problems, both historic and current, and sometimes they are, connected. And I actually think there's the potential to really lay some foundations that are built on creative solutions. There's a lot of creative energy coming in. There's also quite a flavour of relationship stuff. So whether it's intimate or in our wider circles, again, a real opportunity for the lunar energy to show us what we need rather than what we want, and therefore for us ourselves to actually get clear about what we need and what we desire, but not at the expense of others. So kind of quite a wow week, I think, really quite amazing in terms of karmic possibilities. On Saturday, the moon moves from Leo into Virgo with a very long void of course period between 04:28 AM and 18:11 PM GMT. The void of course, for those of you that are not sure about this, it's the space between the zodiac signs. So when the moon doesn't move straight through from one sign to another, there's a space in between. So her energy isn't being influenced by the personality of a sign. Now, this can sometimes be quite liberating, but at other times it can leave us feeling a bit sort of discombobulated and a little bit out at sea. So, listen to how it affects you. Now, this is definitely a day to make it real, as it were. There's sort of like a parallel energy. So hold your passions and your visions. Don't be too feisty, but also take practical, steady, pragmatic and diligent actions. Pay attention to the detail, and yet don't get too bogged down by pickiness and any form of self-criticism, because the energy today really favours any actions that have their roots in genuine intent, and there may actually be some unexpected openings or moments of clarity, and again, they may not come in the form that we expect. On Sunday, the moon is in Virgo, and it's a day of very strong dynamics. The lunar influence today really reminds us of what really matters and asks us to be aware and kind of diligent as well. This is not a day to sweep things under the carpet or avoid anything. In fact, to use this energy at its best, pay attention to the details, but manage all your actions with genuine fairness and authenticity. The dynamics, because they are quite strong, could feel a bit tetchy and even a bit impulsive, but handled well, this could be a day of very powerful actions that will ultimately lead to significant long-term results. On Monday, the moon continues through Virgo until 22:29 PM GMT, when she enters a void of course space, and for the best part of the day she is directly influencing some really positive dynamics. It's gorgeous. So if the last few days of strong energy have had you sort of attending to details, centering your actions in authenticity and fairness, this is a day when you might actually suddenly get a surge of beneficial results and opportunities that have come from the previous day's actions. As the day progresses, there is a different dynamic kicking in, and it lends itself incredibly well to imagination. Now, if you're working creatively, this may really work for you. It might give you that spark of creative input that you're needing. It can be really stimulating. But if you're dealing with something that needs to be quite pragmatic, be thoughtful, because we could get a little bit foggy or a bit uncertainty. Imagination is wonderful, but it can sort of lead our mind astray as well. There's a double-edged sword to this. So just be aware of it. It's very fleeting though. On Tuesday, the moon enters Libra at 04:06 AM GMT, and from a lunar perspective, this is an incredibly balanced day with the potential for us to apply really enhanced creativity to any and all areas of our lives. There's also an underlying essence of potential soul growth. actually within the sort of creative energy. So whatever your thoughts, solutions and actions on this day, I would say seize the moment, use the energy well and with purpose. On Wednesday, the moon is in Libra and the lunar flow emphasizes relationships. This will include any kind of unmet needs or any wounds and insecurities within relationships. Now, the lunar influence is actually asking us to focus on what we want and what we're seeking for within partnership, and to get clear about this. The energy is then followed by an invitation to take actions and have those conversations to make those desires known and really to focus on them and make them real. So, you know, whether that's a conversation with yourself in terms of your intentions, or whether it's a conversation with somebody else, you know, have that conversation. This is a great day for clarity. On Thursday, the moon moves from Libra into Scorpio with a void of course period between 06:19 and 11:47 AM GMT. We begin the day with a really strong push of energy that's calling for emergence and transformation. It's fairly fleeting, but it's then followed by a nicely balanced day. So I just want to say, let the energy guide you where it will. If this involves some deep diving, then trust that there is something that you need to see. On Friday, the moon is in Scorpio and wow, she's reached her first quarter, which always invites review and evaluation, often in our external manifestations and of our potential progress forwards. As the day progresses, we can expect to see exactly what we need to see, but not necessarily what we want to see. So very interesting evaluation energy, and actually very karmic as well. The influences today could bring you a massive affirmation that tell you you're on course and you should continue doing what you're doing with full-on investment. But if the energy kind of shakes up your world in some way, then whatever the circumstances, they're needed, and they will be a part of your karmic journey and a part of a contribution to your learning at this time. On Saturday, the moon moves from Scorpio into Sagittarius with a void of course period between 11:23 AM and 16:39 PM GMT. The lunar energy today, to be honest, it feels like 4 seasons in a day. I think it's going to be quite fast paced. So we can expect a bit of push-pull energy, at least to start with, but ultimately a strong start to the day then develops into flow, moving with a strong calling to make something real, to make it happen. So because I think it's going to be quite fast paced, just be balanced and take regular pause for thought breaks. That way I think you can invest your energy into really constructive progress today, especially in your manifestations. Super Souls, if you've enjoyed these weeklies and you'd like a little bit of a nudge, I do post, on a daily basis, I do post these images on Facebook and Instagram, so you can find them there. There's also information in the Art of Manifestation Astro-Moon Diary and Journal. So Super Souls, let's move to the tutorial for any of you who are passionate about learning a bit more. Welcome Super Souls to the tutorial part of this video. So this is the energy of the moon as we move through this week from Saturday the 30th through to Saturday the 6th of August. That's 30th of July to 6th of August. Now you can see that from our perspective she's getting bigger. And in fact, on Friday, she will reach her first quarter point. The first quarter always gives us an opportunity for review. Now, in my experience of listening to the moon, as we move into this phase of the waxing crescent, the energy is beginning to build. It's gathering momentum and it's onwards and upwards, and very much looking at how we integrate and actually take sort of actions in our external world to bring our manifestations into being. So when she's diminishing in energy, we're really thinking about much more of the internal reflective work whilst tweaking the stuff in our external circumstances. As we move up between the new moon and the full moon, we are in a space where the moon is getting bigger, she's more powerful, she's turbocharging things, moving them forwards, adding acceleration. So that's where we are this week. She's starting to get bigger, moving to effectively almost a sort of a a pause moment for review in terms of seeing, are we on track? What else do we need to do? What else do we need to invest in order to continue? Investing is the right word, actually. This is a week of investment in actually taking actions to move your manifestations forwards, to sow the seeds. You've had an idea, you might be sowing seeds, or you might be actively nurturing your projects along, nudging them forward. So that is the energy we're in, with a review point at the end of the week. We are now going to look at the planets daily, because what happens is, as the moon moves around, she is adding her energy to any of the planetary collaborations that she comes into contact with. Now, one of the real biggies at the moment really is this connection between Uranus, who is known as the Great Awakener. His energy tends to stir things up a bit, shake things up a bit, but bringing out-of-the-box solutions, great opportunities for sudden changes, unexpected openings, lining up with the nodes, the north and the south nodes. So destiny, karmic openings, real possibilities. Now, whenever the moon's energy connects in with this collaboration, which is also tying in with the forward motion of Mars at the moment, we really can expect to see some significant shifts forwards in the energy. We're also in Taurus here, so there's also a very lovely sort of lesson around, don't be a bull in a china shop, take it steady. Steady investment is going to win the race. So that's, an underlying dynamic that is very present, and when the moon ties into this, we see significant openings. So let's look at the energy and the moon in her movement, literally day by day. On Saturday the 30th, the moon will actually move from Leo into Virgo, and there's a void of course period between 4:28 a.m. and 18:11 p.m. GMT. Now that's a long void of course period. A void of course is literally when the moon moves between one zodiac sign and another. So her energy is flavoured by the zodiac sign. But when she's in that space in between, sometimes it can affect us in a way that means we have a freedom where, the energy of the moon isn't channeled through the personality of a sign. However, sometimes that freedom can leave us feeling like we're a bit unanchored, we're out at sea, we're not quite sure which way we're going. So just be thoughtful about that, because it's a long space of a void of course on Saturday the 30th. Now, this is a day really, I think, to hold your passions and your visions and yet not be too feisty. So the moon is actually sitting with Mercury. She moves from Leo into Virgo. She's building in her energy, but she's tuning into this collaboration of Uranus and the North Node, and of course opposite the South Node. We've got the feistiness of Mars. We've also got Saturn in retrograde in Aquarius. Saturn wants us to restructure, and in retrograde the energy is asking us to consolidate our actions in real terms. So there's opportunity to sort of build a solid foundation. Now, Saturn square Uranus is going to be around this dynamic, and it's going to get bigger and bigger as we head towards, I think it's October that it peaks. I mean, this is a sort of what I would call a breaking down in order to break through. It's all about restructuring. If we are consciously working with this, if we're consciously allowing ourselves to be aware of structures in our lives that don't work for us, and we're listening to the stuff of our lives that are saying, this isn't working, we need to change, and we're actively involved in that change, then this is an energy that's going to support us. But if we are clinging to old ways of doing things that aren't serving us anymore, then that resistance is going to make this energetic much harder for us. Now, today, this whole dynamic with the moon opposite Saturn is really calling for us to be very steady and take very pragmatic actions to move things forwards, to have those conversations. Now, it's really aided, the reason I say have those conversations is because there's also a lovely dynamic between the moon and Chiron. Now, Chiron brings a very healing energy. So if something is showing up in your world that isn't working, press the pause button, have that conversation with yourself, allow yourself to consider out of the box solutions to move something forward so that you can gracefully let go and restructure in a way that provides healing. You know, this is a really interesting dynamic on Saturday the 30th. So, you know, take practical, steady, pragmatic actions, diligent actions. Don't get too picky about the details, but at the same time be diligent about them as well. You know, really, the more genuine your intent, the more this energy will actively work for you. So that's Saturday the 30th. Now on Sunday we are seeing still the strong dynamics between Saturn, Mercury, Uranus and the North Node. We also see a square between Chiron, the healing energy of Chiron, and Venus, and a beautiful trine between Jupiter and the Sun. So what this kind of, I think, brings into our lives on Sunday as the moon is beginning to build is really, I think the lunar influence is asking us, I think, to think about what really matters, and again to be diligent and genuinely to be aware and concerned. I feel like this is a day not to sweep anything under the carpet. This dynamic is still strong. We are, you know, Mercury may well be bringing us information that is highlighting the fact that we need to restructure things. Uranus is inviting us to do that. The North Node and the South Node are saying, look, actually, you know, destiny calls, things really need to be tweaked and adjusted here. So use this energy well. To use this energy well, I would say pay attention to the details. You know, genuine fairness, authenticity is required here. Manage all of your actions in a diligent, meticulous manner, whether it's your own thoughts and your relationship with yourself, or whether it's a day of dealing with other people or other situations. You know, the dynamics here could be quite impulsive, a little bit tetchy, possibly a lot tetchy. But you know, I actually think, again, because this dynamic is calling for change, and calling for change in terms of higher levels of consciousness and things that are going to work better, not only for us, but for humanity at large. If we are aligning with this, even if there's a bit of tension, by being diligent, honest, authentic, we're going to take advantage of this and the energy will work for us. We may well be shown things that need to be done, actions that we can take to move things forwards. The moon is beginning to gather momentum. So I'm not saying it's without tension, but it could be a day of powerful potential that is ultimately about, you know, laying a foundation for significant long-term results. So a very interesting dynamic on Sunday. On Monday, the moon will actually stay in Virgo for the best part of the day, GMT time, and right at the end of the day, she enters a void of course space. During this day, she will actually sit in opposition to Neptune. This is actually a very, very creative energy, even though it's an opposition which can be a little bit discordant. This is a huge opportunity for spiritual connection, spiritual awareness, creative, imaginative thinkings. Jupiter is still in a lovely trine with the Sun in Leo. The Sun is in Leo, so a lot of opportunity for Jupiter wants to expand things. The Sun is that creative source of energy. This is a very creative day. So we've had some very strong energy over the last few days, which was sort of triggered by the positioning of Mercury in relation to, you know, the North Node and Uranus and Saturn here. Mars is now sitting right in this collaboration, but Mars is now in a lovely flowing connection with Venus. So I actually do think there's quite a different dynamic today. Whatever we've been shown in the sort of intensity, where we've been thinking about being diligent, thinking about how we can do things, really processing in quite a sort of an intellectual way the circumstances that could have been feeling a bit intense over the last few days. It's like this is like a creative day where imagination and imaginative creative solutions can kick in a beautiful way. Now, bearing in mind that sometimes creativity is magical in that it gives us that spark of information we need, we do also have to, with our creative imagination, not let our imagination run wild. So if you are facing challenges, be thoughtful about where your mind goes. View the stuff that lands with you from that space of potential creativity, as opposed to sort of thinking, gosh, I'm imagining this, therefore it must be real. Because there's always a duality to all of these energies. There's a higher energetic and a lower energetic. And the reason I'm doing these videos is because it helps us to see the way the energy is affecting, coming in and potentially affecting us. And with that insight and awareness, we can actively choose how we navigate it and how we use the energy in terms of, ultimately our soul's evolution. And this big, powerful connection with Uranus and the nodes is very much about evolution at a level of soul. Our soul's growth, our soul's development, our soul's learning as we move into the dawning of a new age. So that's the kind of flavour of Monday. Very interesting day. On Tuesday, the 2nd of August, the moon moves into Libra. She is gathering, she's building momentum, and she moves into an opposition with Jupiter. Jupiter is still in a trine with the sun. This is a flowing connection. It's not as strong as it was, but nevertheless, the connection is still there. And Mars is still in a lovely collaboration with Venus, and we still have the Saturn-Uranus node is sort of sitting here together, calling for restructure. So interestingly enough, this is quite a balanced day, with I would say the potential for us to, again, it's a potential area of soul growth for us. There's a lot of creativity, even though this is just the same as the moon opposite Neptune was brings us a very creative opportunity. So too does the moon opposite Jupiter. There's a lot of creative energy available. Jupiter, like Neptune, is in retrograde, so consolidation of ideas, making them real. I feel this is a really super day to integrate our thoughts and our ideas and our creative solutions into moving something forwards. So I really want to say on Tuesday, seize the moment and use the energy really well. I think it could be a very productive, very balanced day. The energy of Libra wants us to live in harmony. Libra wants everything to be balanced. Libra wants everyone to be happy. Libra wants us to find solutions that are harmonious. So, and Venus, of course, rules Libra. Venus is connected beautifully with Mars. Mars is wanting us to move things forwards. Uranus is saying, look, I'll bring you the creative out-of-the-box solutions and the thinking you need to make this possible. The nodes are saying, look, there's real karmic potential here to create shifts in your energy and in your manifestations. Jupiter is saying, let's consolidate these wonderfully creative, expansive ideas. Tuning in with the sun, the energy is there. So this is beautiful day, I think, on Tuesday. Use the energy well, super souls. It's a lot of magical potential on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we see a very interesting flow of energy as the moon continues through Libra. I just feel we're going to start to see an emphasis on relationships. Now, she squares in with Venus. Venus is all about love, relationships, wanting harmony. We're opposite Chiron. Chiron tends to touch our woundedness, and Chiron is calling us to heal those sort of ancestral wounds and also our own personal wounds. Most of us will experience wounding through relationship. It's we don't get wounds predominantly through the stuff of life. We get it through the people of life. So I feel there's quite a significant emphasis on relationship as we move in, as the moon moves through Libra on Wednesday. And I think this connection to Chiron is really going to be asking us to evaluate what matters to us and also to identify what we need within relationships. If we have any unmet needs, how to find a voice to be able to ask for those needs to be met, to really focus on what we want within relationship and what we are seeking, and potentially then to actually think about how to ask, to have those conversations that will enable us again to restructure the way that we approach relationships, to come in from a more balanced perspective. So I do feel we're going to still see this overall dynamic of structures being challenged in order for us to create the new, but with an emphasis on relationships and on healing and on our own personal place of responsibility for our own needs within our relationships. So that's sort of the energy of Wednesday. On Thursday, the moon moves from Libra into Scorpio. There's a void of course period. Again, that space in between 6:19 and 11:47 a.m. GMT. And we kind of start the day with the moon having quite a strong square with Pluto. Pluto is pushing for rebirth, transformation. So you might feel an initial surge of energy, like a push forwards to try and make something happen, calling for emergence and transformation. But this kind of shifts fairly quickly, and then the moon aligns in a really nice connection with Mercury. Mercury is now moving from Leo into Virgo. So we're going to see a shift in the energy of Mercury, offering us the opportunity for kind of detailed conversations, I think, detailed communications, paying attention to that detail. So if you feel a surge of energy early in the morning on Thursday, and it will be morning, afternoon, or wherever you are in the world, I would say just check out, if you Google time clock, if you're not sure where you are in terms of timings, if you Google time clock, there are some automated sites that you can literally, if you put in GMT, it will then give you exactly the same time of day. If you put in your time GMT, it'll give you exactly the same time of day for your own personal location. So that's really worth doing it, so that you can work out exactly when these collaborations are happening, and get the full benefit of how to use the energy of the moon. Now the moon is building, remember, she's gathering her energy, so she's building and bringing momentum. We have that surge of energy with Pluto, not without friction. There's a push for transformation, a push for something to happen. I would say sit with that push, because as the day moves on, there's going to be the opportunity for a much more flowing level of communication, where details may be given to us to be able to, constructively start to move something forwards. Very, very lovely energy if we are understanding how to use it in our manifestations. So let's look at Friday. The moon reaches her first quarter phase, which is always a point of evaluation. Now this is a really interesting first quarter because she is sitting in Scorpio. So Scorpio will often take us on a deep dive. We're going to see things that maybe have been hidden in the depths of our unconscious. Stuff is going to potentially emerge, or we indeed may feel immersed. She is sitting therefore directly opposite. She's also, not only is she in Scorpio, but she is sitting with the nodes, sitting opposite Uranus, sitting opposite Mars, sitting on the south node opposite the north node, tuning into this energy of Saturn. We also see her in a square with the sun. Whenever we reach a quarter point, the moon and the sun are always in a square. So there's always that point of evaluation. I think this is an extraordinary day. Now, it may be a bit intense. There is a possibility for this. And I think in our external manifestations, I feel like the world might bring us, this is the day when the world might bring us what we need to see rather than we want to see. However, I just feel if you're on course, I reckon you might get a day of monumental affirmation, telling you that you're on course and you can see that you should continue to invest all of your energy in the direction that you're going in. I think this could be amazing. On the other hand, if you feel things come in to seriously rock your world in a more challenging way, then pay attention, because there is something being shown to you that connects to your karmic journey that you need to see, because evaluation is needed. So a powerful day. I think it could be an affirmation, well, one way or the other, it will be an affirmation of something. Whether it's an affirmation of what is working, go for it, yay, this is amazing. From the depths of your very soul, you're going to just know that you're on track and you want something, and you're going to continue to invest. or, oh dear gosh, this isn't working out. Where do I go from here? Big deep dive. I really need to press the pause button and seriously have a think about it. You know, what isn't working? What do I need to restructure? Or alternatively, what is working and what do I need to continue to build on? That's the energy of the first quarter moon on Friday in Scorpio. On Saturday, I feel like, in terms of the lunar energy, so we've moved away from the first quarter. So we're now, again, building momentum even more. The moon is now going to build towards her fullest. She moves from Scorpio into Sagittarius. Now that in itself is a significant shift because we're moving from the deep dive energy of Scorpio into the fast-paced, more forward-moving energy of Sagittarius, looking for optimism, hope, ways forwards, the drive to move on. Saturn becomes quite strongly connected with Mars, still connected with Uranus and the North Node, but much more strongly connected with the energy of Mars, who also wants to move things forwards. Now, I honestly feel like from a lunar energy perspective, Saturday feels like sort of 4 seasons in a day. So you might find quite a fast-paced shifting of energy because we begin the day with the moon in a square with Saturn. As she moves into Sagittarius, she then trines Neptune. And as the day progresses, she then sextiles with Pluto. So these are 3 really big players. Saturn wants us to restructure and is tuned in with Mars, you know, firing us up, wanting to power us forwards. Neptune is very spiritual, wanting us to take our time, to see where we're going, to seek illumination, and to be very thoughtful about not taking action if we're feeling a bit foggy or a bit confused. You know, Neptune can bring that sort of uncertainty, that energy of uncertainty, but also very creative thinking. Then the moon ties in beautifully with Pluto, who is seeking regeneration, transformation, rebirth. So I actually feel that Saturday is going to be pretty fast paced. The key here, I think, is to take a regular sort of, I don't know, a pause for thought break. I shall certainly make a mental note of that for myself. Take a regular pause for thought break because the energy is going to be shifting, turning, wanting to move forwards, but also, again, just recognize with the energy of the node, Uranus and Mars all in Taurus, we can react like a bull in a china shop, or we can take careful, steady actions so that our strength and our empowerment goes into sort of that, what I would call slow and steady wins the race. I think it's something that we're constantly needing to keep in mind almost on a daily basis at the moment. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't be reactive, be responsive. We have a choice. So very, very fast paced, changeable energy, I think, on Saturday the 6th of August. Super Souls, I will of course on Friday the 5th be uploading for the following week exactly the same tutorial and the dailies. Do watch out for those if they are helpful to you in navigating your life, your soul's evolution and your manifestations. Tons and tons of love. If these are resonating with you, do subscribe, press the little bell icon. You should get a notification of anything when I upload it, whether it's some of my readings or whether it's the moon updates. Super Souls, I wish you well on your evolutionary journey this week. Tons of love.